Ia whaatala whaatala o whionga taito ia whaatai fo I mole au nanga I le mamalo le atunuu I le through Radio Samoa ia malo lava soifua manuia whaatalo whaata fo I le mamalo le atunuu o whaafonga mai le nei fiafi sa mama tina ia o whawhengainga mawhalatua a mai se fo I whanau o whengai maonga ia malo lava soifua manuia.
O langona le tasi whaitua he mene ia mesa leo tu amtu mai whoronga tono le mai aso ia le mama aisuru tino mātango pia pere lua lani lei mai manatua e whale na ia moa o lau I ula e pou toa ia le fio mai matala mai poi au ia umana e poi o tātou whero e poi o na ua o lai whale mai ia le fio ngai asabea oi le ai kere o mauti noa I ke o se se akula kana ia o lai malanga se auso vane po le suapa ia le ia taua ia to foi mai polanta tua il vai aso fo mal vai aso mele ma le Malu
ia manuia papai kionga io taito papai mo lava no io paso folo le alman le vai aso la tu ai patalo fatu foi ia foi lo fionga ia foi il Malu fatu nu io o le nganga lava lea papai mo manuianga matanga papai
malo papai tatono pe lava nga ia se lua sau loanga se tana po ia tatono lava pe no pa tu no falsa tu ia manino mato le mai ne ia ni si tu langa po tau pa lu pe sase po malo le tonu ia ne lava matango pe lo mo lua si fonga matango pe leva yaso maleva yaso ia olopa pena fo na mau se mele le tato tunu sulu fa ia tu fo I e fia mau so sani ia wa tato e fo te mi al pong sai ia e mone le ata ia u fa penanti nga ina tato ole city mo le te va ia le Malu. If someone wants to make an offer to buy a property, what is the minimum deposit they can put down and what's the minimum number of days for finance to be satisfied?
Yes, thank you for the question. So the minimum deposit usually also known as a down payment for a home or property when making an offer, the minimum is usually 5%. The normal can be anything between 5 to 10% of the sale price or the price on offer.
Right.
Now, that's the usual, the minimum between 5 to 10%, but many times and on occasion, people can also make offer a dollar value below the 5% as well. For example, it might be $30,000 or $20,000, but that is the usual, is 5 to 10% of the sale price, which is more common. Now, for your question of the finance, to be satisfied, how many number of days? Now, we must refer to them as working days as well, because when we say working days, it's much more clearer and more specific, because we don't want to confuse with weekends as well or public holidays. So it needs to be working days. Now, for the number of days for finance, now this is probably where Emele might be able to add to this later, but probably throw something at me for saying this. But we try to go anywhere from 5 working days to 15 working days. The norm, from my experience, is usually 10 working days. But sometimes it depends on the workload of the banks, because sometimes we need to go 15 working days, and on occasion a little bit more. But that is also where I would say, for anyone who's making an offer, to talk to your mortgage broker or your bank first to ask how many working days do you need for the finance.
That's really good. So what's the best way? 15 days or, depends on the Malu?
Yes, because what we're trying to do is also, if it's too long, if it's 15 working days, or sometimes I've even seen 20 working days, that can be from the eyes of the owner who we're trying to make an offer to purchase the house. 15 to 20 working days can be too long, because what that means is it's 3 weeks that the property is now tied up and committed in an offer, and that's 3 weeks that they can't accept any other offers. So this is why, as agents, we're in the middle trying to negotiate terms that will help the owner, but also be good for our buyer as well, and trying to negotiate and meet in the middle somewhere. So I would generally say 10 working days is probably the safest amount of time. But then again, it's not quite up to me. That's why I'm always saying to my clients to talk to the mortgage broker or the bank first and see what their advice is.
Very good. How can you help the families that are looking to buy a new home, Malu? And is there a cost of your services if you help a family find a home to buy?
Yes, very good question also, Taito. So the way I can help home buyers or our people to look for homes, I can help to screen the homes, have a look at the homes first from from a market point of view.
Yeah.
So some of the services that I offer, and I must add, the service is no cost. So when I help a family or a person to buy a home, there is no cost. I do not charge
Good.
the buyer anything. It's how it works. Just for your information, we're going a little bit to the side here. But how it works is that if we find a home that we like and we make an offer and it's accepted, then what happens is that listing agency or whoever the listing agent is, their office will pay my office,
Right.
and my office will pay me.
Oh, that's good.
So it just means that no money changes hands, especially from the buyer's point of view.
Yeah.
So it is, you can look at it as a free service, but how I like to help is that I like to look at the houses that the buyer's looking at, and I will look for things like, look for any signs, any red flags, or anything that doesn't look right on the house.
Yeah.
It might be looking at flooding zone. Was there any flooding? It might be looking at what's the house made of? What is the cladding?
Yes.
Is it brick, or is it weatherboard, or is it weatherside or plaster? Now, weatherside and plaster, they are materials that have in the past been a problem or an issue. Plaster, for example, was a big issue back in the 2000s with this thing they called the leaky building syndrome. So this is just one of the things that I will look at to make sure, and I will advise my client, the buyer, hey, this house is a plaster home.
Yeah.
Just be careful around it. It doesn't mean it's a bad home.
Right.
You just need to be a bit more extra careful around how you send the inspector in to have a look at it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way, Malu, to be honest to our customer, tell the truth whenever. Otherwise, end of the day, they come back to you, Malu. Thank you so much. What's your view of the property prices they're doing in the moment? It is good to buy and it's good to sell, Malu.
Good question too, Taito. So my view at the moment, and this is just my view of what I'm seeing in the local markets, and I work a lot around the Manukau, South Auckland area, and sometimes a little bit outside in the main Auckland area. But what I'm seeing at the moment is that the prices, they're still a bit flat, if you like.
Yeah.
They haven't really started to rise as much yet. Now, the last 12 months have been very tough for everybody.
Yes.
And that's, in the property market, it's just meant less properties have sold, less buyers have been there. So it just means that the properties haven't sold, not many have sold, not many have moved. And it just has meant that owners who have been on the market the last 12 months have had to drop their expectation of price. And so that's resulted in probably the last 6 months where prices have flattened out. So in that sense, looking at it from a buyer's perspective, it's most likely a better time to buy now while the prices are still flat. And also while the interest rates are coming down, which Emele will be able to talk about a bit later. But buying now while the price is flat, because there will be a time where the prices will start to go up again. Yes. And that just means paying more money to the banks as well.
You don't need to pay more money, Malu.
No, you need to save more money. Yeah. We all need to save more money.
Yeah, I think it's the right time to buy, because if you look at the market at the moment, it's very low at the moment. If you wait too long, it's getting worse. Thank Thanks, Malu. Can you explain how you set the price contract works, Malu?
Yes. So just in terms of a set price, it's also known as the set date of sale, or also known as a deadline sale. So this sale method, how it works is that when buyers go online and they see a house and it says set date of sale, or like I said, deadline sale, all it means is that there's a date that's been set by the owner and the agent,
Yes.
and you have to be ready with your offer to present before that date.
Right.
Because
right.
if you come after the date with an offer, will be most likely be too late.
Yes.
It just means that set date, if it's say in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah.
then you need to prepare your offer to present to the owner before 2 weeks, because what will happen in 2 weeks' time is that the owner will be looking to sit down with the agent and look at all the offers that have come in, and they'll make a decision on that date on what offer to accept. So as a buyer, you could lose out if you're not ready. But Taito, if I can just add as well, one of the most important things, just with the set date of sale as well, is that you can also add in your conditions into the offer as well. But you just have to make sure that you're in time, so you don't miss out.
Very good. We come to the end of the how does buying an auction work, Malu?
So, how I mentioned before about the set date of sale, and you can make an offer with your conditions. Auction is the opposite, because when you go to bid and put your hand up at an auction, it means that you have no conditions. It means that, for example, there will be no time for you to conduct a building inspection or a building report.
Right.
The condition just means that you can see it as a safety net, if you like. So if you go in to make a conditional offer, for example, like on the set date of sale, you can say, this is my offer, but I have subject to this condition of a building report. So I want to do a building report, and when I get the report back and I'm happy with it, my lawyer's happy with it, then my offer will go through.
Right.
The auction is the opposite. It means that you have to do your preparation first before the auction date.
Right.
You've got to go and do a building report. You've got to go and get your finance pre-approved. Now, the thing with finance for auction, I like to, Emele might be able to correct me on this, but I like to say it's actually not a pre-approval that you need to go to auction. You need a final approval. So, it means that you've got to get your final approval from the bank on this particular address of this house that you want to put your hand up for on auction day. So, when it comes to auction, there's a lot more risk involved, and you've got to really talk to your broker. You've got to talk to your lawyer, and also your agent, just to be prepared around that auction.
Really good. I think that you mentioned that you do your preparation before you come and see, otherwise you get lost. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Malu. Really appreciate it. And any other thing you add before you stand by, Malu, please?
No, not too much from me, but probably just a parting message for anyone who's looking to purchase a home. Whether it be it's a first home or looking to upgrade your family home. I know that a lot of our families, including my own at the moment, are getting a bit for our house. So if you're looking to upgrade or buy your first home or second home or third home, then most definitely the first step that you need to take is talk to the mortgage broker, talk to the bank, talk to Emele. She'll be able to navigate you and put a plan in place for you before you even look at what options are available to you. So that's all I'd like to add. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks again, Malu. Emele. Are you there, Emele? Malo lama sai fu malo don sai mai ta tono le la sa tu a to man ta to proclame mana po ban tango fie vai o lama le ta tono lo fa ponga man malo ta to no a wina tu ngan per ta nia fa fango fie po inisi lo fa ponga man ta to proclame ya o matango fie po ya sa no po ya malum to nga uma ya inis po me o mana tu mai lo penga pa tu ya mana po le ta po lunga ta to proclame non fa yo lama o tu nga uma ina ia manino fo I le fa ponga malo ta to no a Emele.
Yeah, malo taito fa tai lava mo lava no. E toi fia e level nelena fa mai sa no mai le malu.
Yeah.
Bob. Ile e alu e fai so if you are looking at going to an auction.
Yeah.
It's a tau lava on unconditional low finance. O tulanga lava ia lo na winga it's tau ona le ai lava maseme o fa le tonu o mga ready malau deposits. Ole mainly the auction require o ya fa pe olela e malo le auction.
Yeah.
Ye o ye malau vai nga tupe e fa tino ai le deposit le e mana o mia o wa olela you are basically as a done deal.
Yeah.
Pe e alu le auction so ia mautino lava o le ai conditions wa o mana va ai lau loia. Talo sangaina make sure ye lo due diligence po le vaenga le fai le loia le tulanga le o mea lava ia talo sangaina ma fautua ina le malu le tunu ia malama le lei wale o yaise condition o tutorial low finance po le vaenga tupe ia malama le lei o already low deposits ai te le ia le auction o mautino fo I wa umona okay mai lau loia.
Yeah.
Ile fale leo le ai alua ile auction. So those are the three main things. Ai te le ialu le auction ina ia awana ye se fale tonu ma se to e fisilingi ile mamalu le tunu.
Mana ele to manino fo to nga umale wa to e pa ia Emele pa te tele lama matango fie fo I pe lama ona talo fo le malu fo le be prepared e tau ni uri mai ta pena pena e sau no toa ya toa ia e langa po I te ua to e hero mai oe ya lena e alua lo to toa ya mai se o lena e sau no tu langa loia ta pena la mai loia ia mai tala no e fo ni me le man la mai ia le mana ia o le e ang tonu manu o fesilia Emele ia apa
sa le ia so no
ava pela e alua mai no funo po fesili a te mai fesili ono ni se tu langa le lama tu pe ma tu lang ia o po le menga fa lava Emele ma le malu ku pepe tu le si tu langa what's the value does the mortgage broker add to customers? What the financial services does the mortgage broker offer Emele?
Mana ia tele le fsili ona ele leilama le fa malama atili o le tulanga o le ale ese singa o lo fa nga ina o se mortgage broker o lo wa sa o le bank ia wa tulanga umalava ia e lava le feeling al malu le tunu o po Fale me e alu ia lo na finangalo pe mana o work with a mortgage broker pe alu sa o le bank o le me mo le tulanga mo lava o le fa nga ina o se mortgage broker e tele atato options e mafaiona fili mai ai o se whātaita inga mo I have access to all the banks. So you name all the banks. I have access to all the banks. ASB, ANZ, BNZ, Westpac, TSB, all the banks. Whapela e misi mai le bank. Ia ona tiritilo le ia I lesi vaenga le lalo mai o Avanti, your Liberty, Pepper Money, lesi tier of lenders leila mai so ole mana ia na le whaanga se mortgage broker that has access to all the lenders e yaini options in whaiona titula iai pe a whapea e decline mai lesi bank ala ma whaiona iai lesi tulanga o lesi vaenga e mana iai le whaanga se mortgage broker e ma whaiona mātou negotiating ia interest rates and cashback ona ole ona olea tele le malama mo matou po our rates here offer my banks behind the scenes easy matou clients so therefore ola le malama ya matou e mafaiona matou to e o ai le bank can you match whatever le nga mai lesi client le ina if so swani le matou clients so we have room in negotiate ia tatou cashbacks and interest rates ona ole malama mo matou le ia I tu le vaenga le tu o lesi tūlanga e mawhai ona mātou sosoani ai, a whape te o decline mai se application.
Yeah.
A whape mātou te tilo atu I le mafuanga would decline mai ai pe pushback. It's not really a strong enough reason it decline ai.
Yeah.
E ele no e mawhai ona mātou te whatana no le bank.
Mana ia.
E toe au ile sato application, which it's done. I've done that for a few clients.
Alo.
So long as o titilo atu o le mafuanga lewa toe whaafoi mai ele application po o decline mai ai or defer, however the bank looks at it.
Yeah.
E mawhai ona o toe vili ma wha malama ni tūlanga o le application. So ia wa te lele malu le tunu pe ia mai lo decline, ia wo decline. But at least o le option e mawhai ona o toe wha malama le leile bank I tūlanga ese e toe au ili eile tātou wha moi moi. Another option which it's our tele mo le mortgage broker. E mātou te tila pe whaafepea on a structure le tātou mogesi.
Mana ia.
On o le tūlanga tā ua lava lea, o le pe o le pokalame last week, le antala no ai nai le different types of mortgages, your offset, your floating, your fixed, revolving. E fua lava la I le ainga le iai, po le clients le iai, o le ale product, I don't want to call it that way, but o ai ia offers e mai le bank products.
Yeah.
E mawhai ona suitable ai le ainga le se whateita inga whapea o they're very disciplined with their spending, o lai tele nisi investments lai outside e mawhai na offset le mo kesi. So o le tāu i o tūlanga whapea ia whatala no po la le structure and how we actually best structure le mo kesi. Na ia whaavave ona pe, ona ole, I guess one of the main goals for us is to work with the family pe whaafewhea ona whaavave ona reduce le mo kesi, especially for our family homes.
Yeah, no.
Not necessarily for your investment depending on the long-term goals, but especially more tātou whale o ainga. Another, e tele ai or long-term goals hawhape o la yese term la inga e whaatau le whale, and maybe in the next year or two, te tilupe renovate or long-term po le ale lato goal le iei le po o le whaamoemoe. Le titila ia ia o vaenga uma e se ia e mawhai ona add ai le value pe fesoasoani ai le mamalu le tunu. Ina ia whaamalamalama tūlanga e se we also try and streamline ma ia whaamalamalama ia le process.
Yeah.
Ina ia malamalama at every step of the process through the application.
Mana ia, e se mana ia tūlanga ia ue tō tala noa iai mai sau noa iai ia Emele ia mōr tātou tu nuu iwa e le mwhai labon tātou atu po le e whaalua pesasi confuse ai tātou po I tūlanga ai pei laba ona e sau nom tūlanga uma e mana ia sili mana ia po le tala noa atu ia le iai ia lau whionga panitua ua lava le sili fia I tūlanga me tau whale e pei ona e tā ua tūlanga le te toi piso soani po le tāpā pea o atu lantou tin down my bank le woman sa I di uma tūlanga uma lava e mele le ua manino le ua e fia po lo maota lau okay me uma ai te uko e bili aku ia lau clients o lele e mele o le uko e tin down mai mako o e mele u whaapempa pea e mawhai langa e koe oso whaapua se a koe ai e mele koe join aku lau clients ma toe soa lau pule e pole ale mele kupu
Ia e mawhai o le tūlanga la lea e le lei ai la malama atili po o aia
tūlanga ia
Puani ni tūlanga o le application, ai pe ai seana lai ona decline, ona o le mele whautua nei, I need to understand even some history.
Nia lama.
Wa a whape o low credit rating, a whape valid le, e pe valid pe yeile o te iloa o se vaenga o le application, e mawhai le bank o negotiate ai. Ia e yeile room e mawhai ona o te titilo yei le vaenga. Ai o le tāua fo ila lewa yei isi banks is slightly different lako criteria. They may be a little bit more flexible le le vaenga. So it really depends po le ale le tūlanga walai ona decline mai le application, then I'm happy to have a look. Ma koe revisit le lako application.
Mana ia, o le pasiri leo te baba ia te ele, o so mai lunga le Facebook, le pe mai wha mole mole e mene. le ase tūlanga po le tūlanga me tau au lotu e ka le sia o iai se ba po le so ta e oto e mwhainu so soani mai oto i e ka le sia pe amo mea se whane o ngā nuenga as pare sa wha mole mole wa wha alama tu tāpsi sini ngai le lama whai maka pā ngai clients i e o mai lunga ka Facebook live feedback mai le mana ia mai ngā wha anualo
ia whaftaitele ia taito mole sili e iai le avanoa again o le tūlanga le leile whaatalanoa ono e kalesia. It's a slightly different situation mai o tatu ainga te tasi. Ono o banks, the banks look at e kalesia as a peo se pisinisi. O le ta yes e yailo o mo le tali vave o le fisili e yaile avanoa e mawhai ona whaatalanoa. E te tilo lai vai ngā tupe le kalesia pe fia fo ile tatu deposit la yai. Ai po le a fo le format o le ekalesia, is there a trust deed for le ekalesia, and who are the trustees? Lai sei ni le deed o le ekalesia, so it's lolo la lona there is a few more information e mana o mia mai le ekalesia, and yes, ye never know, I have helped in the past some ekalesio. It really depends on le tato deposit. O le ale umitalo na yele kalesia, do we have financials mo le kalesia or yes trustee de le kalesia? Sometimes the bank would require meetings le kalesia, the minutes o meetings nga discuss ile fainga o le ale fa mo le la titile yai. So yes, it is something we can have a look at.
Paaptai e mele mo le tali mai ia taik manu tai o le na e lava po ia le so sani ai pe pa pe ai le fa tal noa le uma lava ia au ina fo le telefoni ia pe vili mal mata officer e su e tu telefoni e mele ia male fionga le malu pop le malu I tulang fa pe na mele can mortgage broker charge a one-off fee, and what's the process for when you charge a one-off fee, please, Emele?
Yeah, I have seen the situation for page tupu. Yes, part of our conditions. Mortgage broker on a charge the one-off fee.
Yeah.
O se whaata inga o lea tūlanga pe a whape wa lewa na ngā lulue. We've had your pre-approval reconfirm or renew for maybe 2 times, 3 times.
Right.
Or pia a tausanga over a year or 2. O lai ngā lulue le most Fale, and then all of a sudden te ua pina ngā lule ainga kuia ngā mortgage broker ka ko ia ka ko le bank. In the meantime, what's le broker le walwai, so they can charge a one-off fee. O le process la, e le ma whai ona charginga se one-off fee, so lenga wa umana whatala noa le ainga. So you do need to discuss it with the family.
Yeah.
So for me, I've had that instance in the past. I discuss a koe la ainga o we don't, o leo fo u te malama o a Samoa.
Yeah.
Ele o se So I will give the family the opportunity whether they do want to pay a certain fee. That's something on the AC ainga would say wa maile la ko invoice o lae o malama pe aisia. So there are processes no whaamatalaina I la ainga. There's a process to timwhaiona on go through they can't just send you an invoice. Ele yai se tau malilienga e te tau ona yai se malilienga ona 99% of the time, most of the time, it's tongi mātou le bank.
Yeah.
So that's how we are paid. O le bank so longa wo whaatau lau Fale, ono le bank will only pay us pe pe wo yai sau mo ke si fou. So if you've got a new mortgage, lena o so sania o el mai. Then mo le ki o lo Fale wa e alu tonu lo Fale fo.
Mo lo
pay. Tsongi lo le o le bank. So there is no fee. O le tele le taimi nei le mamalu le tunu. I'm helping them with their existing mortgages. Ono le advice o leile o malama. So in that case, I'm not charging a fee ono o leo te malama. Therefore, the bank doesn't pay me on a lawa yele lato. Mo kese, they already have a mortgage. So some brokers may charge a one-off fee, but I just want to make sure because in the future, if I bet o Jesus swinger, I man na if I tell si Fale, then Emma Fire na office so Sonia ila lato. Yeah, not so over the bank. O too long if I pay the bank pays us. And too long Emma Fire broker on the chance of one off fee, but it's a so on a yes mari lianga male ainga po I lava. I let is also invoice ilo. Ilo pusame.
Malo pa tai Emele matango pie ia le saunanga e masal manino. If you get 2 approvals for a client, how do you help the clients choose which bank they offer to accept Emele?
Yeah, for Taitele, the Bemole, sorry, Taitu Mole Silly. While it's or clients out see till I usually try and submit 2 applications. Ona ole mana yal baingale mafayuna mo se lato option. If I tell a normal more level clients afa bear level ole lato level preference. It level lato bank avail application. You na avele tasi afa be lawyer you offer si wa my law banks. You all discuss ile ona sometimes esse conditions be esse ya inga. Lai au mai banks but it's ingale na cha ma tunei a mai si bank e fala to ai ingale man na o fa no ya mai si bank ya na le lu e fa ngo fie lava le feeling si ai ngo pe ye le fa ngo fie va ngala o le si fo tulanga en titilo la ia out of the 2 banks lia o ile o fa inga se pera cashback o le sila ko la pesale la ko interest rates termine ia on fa ile le feeling al ainga o Fale bank mana na ola so we pursue further so we fa ngo fie ile on fa ile la so feelinga pe ama o mai le ese nga ofa ia lu
mana ia le o manino tulanga o malama ia me se fo i o le silfil malo tato no o le nasa mo le tunu pele mantango pie fo ile winante fo le sili ya o manino lava o le fa lama le lama le fiong pan tua ile ngana lava tato te mita ma fie yai. When the parents consider using the equity to help their children buy a home, what is the process and some option, Emele?
Mana ia tele le sili ona le vai taule nei wa tele lava nei tua o fa sa no mai le lato mana onga le o le memo mo lava o te mana o ina ia matou tala noa ma le matua mo ai le ia le fana ona I want to make sure they understand le process ma polea fo ile tulanga le la o nga ia pero le temine o tele lava ia matua la mana ele ia tala no fa tasi lava Malu mafana ona ole tulanga le afa pe wa ole tele fo io ona I matua ia wa fa so no mele lato mana onga ole freehold lato Fale o mela ia le paenga ia mafai ona sosoani ia lato le ile deposit sona fa ta inga afa pe ole deposit ale fa na ule mana o mia pe lua sela wafe lona fa ta inga Alaya mai le lato deposit le mau ki we save ma savings na ole se la wafe.
Ele lamba
O lona winga mana o miele se la wafe equity mai le Fale ole te mama le tina. Ia fa ato ai le tato deposit le lua se la wafe. Ia la baenga me fa ia na faile me ta ole a limited guarantee.
Right.
E mana o mia fo ila le lo ia le vale me fa ia na fa tuaina le o le ale risk po o le alo na faina on both sides. I olo na winga o le au mai la le equity o le Fale le value of se la wafe. E linka na I le si Fale le ina ia fisosoani e fa ato ai le lato deposit. Or also o le si another process o le si vaenga mwhaina whaonga is or mum and dad can be joint borrowers with ia le whanau lea for le sela wafele. So limited lava tu le sela wafele e whaonga mai le whale le te mama le tina. So they can either have a limited guarantee, which e mana o mia te lele lo ia I vaenga uma ia, e mana o mia le lo ia ina ia ia malama le both sides po wao na whainga o ia tūlanga.
Mana
Or they can actually be joint borrowers male whanau I le vaenga lea se laua whelaba limited to the amount le mana o mi o le deposit o me whapea I want to meet with the families ma wha malama po le ale ese esenga o vaenga ese ie pe a whaonga aile ikuti o le tatou fale. So just a brief wha malama o lea tūlanga.
Mano papai Emele mano te noa mana ia sau noa po ia mai sa le manino o le maingo tūlanga umane ina ia manino mai o mai se o le tūlanga lea o need lea o matu o le I le mano se tau no e deposit le o tā pāno le whale o matua a ese le mana i o le ui iala o mea whatal no mo matua whatal no ese nai to mai tu patasi le o manino wo abe se mani yenga patasi ia no fia la ia o matango fia me o mola to pa tele lamba o le o te tonu o matu o psit ko pa wale o la psili le se ko uma ko ka pa po ia le fionga le malu po isi me ka ko le ka ma bai o le tulanga po le o alu fo le a pape o lo fale pa te ia te o ke o pa ka ia isi le fia mai isi pa pe o alu le mpeng kongi lo fale anela wa abe ko kongo le bank o ka palo Emele famole mole lo fale le wa abe kongo auction fo le abe kongo fale o le ma faingo o o le o te me kaunga ko kongi ai la payments I le masinga ma le masinga o le asip so sani mai Emele I se awana e ma fainto ta ofi me lo fale pa mole
Mana ia tele sili taito o le tūlanga le pe ona whātalanoa I le maybe the last 2 weeks na no tau mawhai ina ia whāmalama atili le tūlanga.
Yeah.
O le mea whautua ina, awana I tu ua sa ia o le tūlanga le ua behind le tato mo kesi.
Naia.
Ona as soon as it behind lo mo kesi, e le mawhai au as a mortgage broker ona intervene I lau bank. I can have a look at options I tua maio banks. Ai a whapea o le mana na o tātou I le tātou bank la iei le taimile nei. As soon as it behind lo le tātou mo kesi, the bank will take control o na lawa o I le situ langa o le latou maintenance po le latou process la iei. O lau fionga taito o le tali la le sili lea.
Yeah.
I le mamalu le tunu whamon mo le a whapea. Tu salava palai o kei la bar taimile nei. Ai mana ia lo malama ai le yo o le tūlanga fa pe titilo atu o tawa tata mai se Fale tonu wai lalo o bakaimi wa alu move out le si alo ma fa na ulena nei tonu o le tato mo kesi e mana ia le fatala no po ani options ai le yo o le tūlanga
le on behind
o le foi tūlanga lai le tali le si vai le si manga le sili lena
ai
a whapea o lau matua le aise awanoi o le bank. E mawhailo lan tātou titilo to the second tier lenders, because as soon as you go in arrears, I lau mo kesi, none of the banks will even consider se tātou application. So o lesi e yaila options I tua mai, which means o le a tātou mwhaiona titilo I second tier lenders. Pe mawhaiona lato so ani pe mawhaiona lato take over inga le kako mo kesi for a short period of time, that could be a year or 2 years. Al paua le me fautua ina ona la taunga tātele, ona the interest rates with the second tier lenders, e whaisina ona mawalunga. Ai awha pe o le tātou go lava, o le sefe o le tātou Fale. Ia lona winga wa tauna tila pe mawhai e second tier lenders ona Soswani, take over le tātou mo kesi, i ona tātou tilo le how do we make sure we keep a good history? I'm looking at some families at the moment. When I first started mortgage broking, only the second tier lenders could help. I'm now looking at bringing them back to the banks. Ole mato go lavanganga yai. Ia mauti noa keep a good history for at least 2 years. Then we'll relook at your application because the goal is to toyo ile bank. If I see no on a I hope o malama like titi le tūlanga taito le fsili.
O mo kua manino lava whaapatai e pe o ina ia wa e tupu pea I saisi taimi ia le lele wa awares uma le manu le tunu. A wane e whaatali se I I se i o se tūranga peo na e sau noa e mele i se taimi e le mwhai ona so sani ai a e sila fia lo wa kau whaane kongu ia makaronga e ngai oi whaatartala noa peo sau noa e mele ia ne ia se isi me te fia sau noa e mele tatele i tau maa bae ia sau toi fesili atu se opsi toi fesili atu ia le manu ia po ia se isi me whaapopo ia tau maa bae le marangang whaaloalo e mele ia lai lulu e whaamole mole e mele la ua lulu mai ia la ua baku lau kau samilanga askulimi la ua kau samila askulimi le manu la fa mele manu le la pa uma mai la fionga patua pa tai le manu pa tai fo lo pa tasi mai mana ia tanto por clame na amata men tanto por clame a le manu pa tai pa mnia le fo lo tu la me fo nai tu ya me se fo lo va do tai me por clame ma le fo tu ya emele pa mnia le ia le manu tai mi uma po ponga uma ia ta pa po tu le ta mo mi po so sani pa la watu e wa e alu lu o na ke fa pe la fai fu o ma ka ko fa le sa le mele ma man ia isi longa
sei ma mo ke spree uma la vai nga
tai ia la foto ia lo pengo fa tua se isi mete ta no ia ma fa mai a me ta so por clame fa tai tele la ma tango fie me o ma la foi fa no longo ia me so le fa ponga ma ma si o ta to no ambel vi inga le tua fa ia le ni le o nanga me uma o la ma ta mai mata le ni fo ia le ni ia fa ngai na tau tua ile tu no ia e mo lunga vi inga lo ta to tua fa tai tele la le malu ia pa pe fo e mele ala foto la fianga pa tua e mele
ia fa tele la tai tele onga Samoa le ne fiafi mo le pa taina le tala noanga ia ai pe lava o le ai se fasili ia vili mai a upe ai fo se fasili real estate ia vili le fionga ia bob o le au nanga lava lea o le fia sosoani le malu le tunu e fa malama ia tulanga ese so le vili mai o le olua fitu valu tolu fitu valu fa valu o pe emaili mai on emele.palamo@loanmarket.co.nz ia manuia tele malo longa le fiafi e fa sai le fionga taito fa tai bob
emele le fa mai Facebook se toi fa leo mai lau cell phone fa mole o le olua fitu
ia olua fitu valu tolu fitu valu fa valu o
fa tai tele lama emele manuia foi a fa mo nga mo le luma o le o nanga pe po le fionga le malu fa tai le fio mai matala mai au saunia le li se isi lau le tanto felo ai mo te minei ia fa so foi ia no fa tele mo lua fa so foi ia